As the U.S. population ages, the need for caregivers is greater than it's ever been. For example, SeniorLiving.org reports about 53 million American adults provide care to family members or friends who have a chronic health condition or disability. Next month in Port Huron, a special event will be held to honor caregivers and to provide them with valuable resources and information. The keynote speaker at the event is Joan Lunden, the former co-host of ABC's Good Morning America. She is also an award-winning journalist, best-selling author, and dedicated caregiver advocate. She joins us now on Live in the D. Joan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, we're going to get right into it. Tell us about your own personal caregiving journey.
So my mom lives forever in California, and I, of course, moved across the country to New York to work for WABC TV in New York and later Good Morning America. So I was what you call a long-distance caregiver. I had my mom and my brother both in a condo living together. He suffered from all the complications of type 2 diabetes. So I was kind of taking care of both of them, flying back and forth across the country all the time. The problem with that is that you aren't around to see all the little things that are kind of the giveaways that say things aren't going so well. And I also think that when we go to visit our aging or our ailing relatives, we put blinders on. Quite honestly, let's face it, it's because we don't necessarily want to see all those things that are telling us that caregiving is at our doorstep. But boy, you got to take those blinders off and you have to go in and quite honestly be a snoop. Look in their cupboards in the kitchen. Is the food expired? What's in their refrigerator? You know, they change their tastes as they age and they eat less, and certain medications affect the taste of food. So there's so many seniors who are malnourished. They just lose the will to get up and cook their own dinner as well. But look for those stacks of mail that's unanswered. I mean, there are little things, and and make their environment as safe as you can. I used to take a whole purse full of the little night lights and I'd put them down the hallway. I'd make sure that there were no throw rugs that she could fall with. But, and the other thing is that be prepared. Like, you never really know when it's coming your way. It's usually a phone call. Somebody took a fall. Have that family meeting. We always think about it, talk about it, but have the family meeting and ask them where all the important papers are, the deeds, the trusts, the wills, the mortgages, the car titles, and get all their important medical information. And, I always recommend something. Take your phone. These days you can do it on your phone. Sit them down and say, I want to know more about what life was like in this world when you were young. And ask them questions about when they were little, growing up, and how about when you were little and when they first met, your mom or dad. And once you get them talking, and of course, the older they are, I can tell you that it's those memories that they'll remember. They won't remember what they had for lunch, but they can remember things from long ago. And once you get them talking, that's when you can also ask them about their next chapter. Where do they think they want to be living? And eventually, like, give me a little sense of, how do you want to be buried? Where? Ask those questions while you can still get the answers.
Yeah, those are really great tips for those who are caregiving now, or it's going to be right at their doorstep and happening very soon. But let's switch gears a little bit, because almost 11 years ago, you were diagnosed with breast cancer. You are now cancer-free, and you wrote a book about that experience. What did you learn from that time in your life, and what is your message to the women who are watching you right now?
Well, it's funny because I named the book Had I Known, because as I was talking about it, I kept saying, had I known that only 15% of women diagnosed with cancer ever had a family history, I wouldn't have walked around feeling so immune. And, had I known about dense breast tissue, I didn't know anything about it. But I went to interview Dr. Susan Love, an expert on breast cancer. And, I said to her, I'm always that person in the waiting room that they say, we need more pictures. And you freak out and you say, oh my God, did you see something bad? And they always said the same thing to me. No, it's just hard to see anything because your breasts are so dense. Well, I didn't know that that was something that should make me perk up and say, because I learned from Dr. Love that dense breast tissue shows up white on a mammogram, and so does cancer. She said, so if you have dense breasts, it's kind of like trying to look for a snowball in the middle of a snowstorm. So I didn't realize that dense breast tissue can actually mask cancer. But because I was set on that interview, the next year when I went for my annual mammogram, I told my gynecologist, Dr. Susan Love told me that I should also get an ultrasound. Had I not had that ultrasound, Kati, I would have walked out of there that day after a clean mammogram. I got a clean mammogram, and I would have thought I was fine. But thank God I had that ancillary test because of that interview. And that's where they discovered my breast cancer. And early detection can save your life. I mean, that saved my life.
That's a huge lesson for all of us. It really is. But now, as we mentioned earlier, you will be in Port Huron next month. Tell us a little bit more about the event.
It's funny, this is going to be the second time I'm going to Port Huron. I was there a few years back and did another event. I don't even remember what the event is. That's why I wrote a book called Why Did I Come Into This Room? About aging. But this is going to be a great event. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. It goes till about 4 in the afternoon. I'll be a speaker there, but they're going to have all these other activities. And there's going to be caregivers there and families, and there'll be seniors there and healthcare professionals. And they're going to have all kinds of like expert-led discussions so that there'll be an opportunity to immerse yourself in knowledge that will be important. But they also have cooking classes and like all kinds of meditation. And it's kind of like a day off, a little respite, because we know how important it is to caregive the caregiver, because caregiver burnout is a very real thing. And so if you are in that position that you're taking care of a loved one, just remember, they say that if you don't take care of yourself, the chances are that you will die younger than you should have, because you get so wrapped up in focusing on taking care of this other person that you forget that you need to tend to your own wellness.
Yes, and this is going to be a perfect opportunity for people to do just that. Joan Lunden, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.